In 2003, the Prison Rape Elimination Act passed unanimously in Congress. It was a bipartisan act. And what it did is it required people in prison to be screened for their risk of facing sexual assault. And that includes rape. And specifically, they said that that assessment had to take into account their risk if they were LGBT+, because it was already known that people who were LGBTQ+ were more at risk of sexual violence in prison. And what it meant is that if you were considered to be more at risk, that had to be taken into account in terms of where and how you were incarcerated. This is a long-standing legislation, but last week, the Department of Justice issued a memo that said the state should explicitly ignore LGBTQ+ considerations when they audit whether prisons are complying with the law. So effectively, it significantly weakens the obligations of prisons to protect their LGBTQ+ inmates from sexual assault, which to me just seems pretty horrific and regressive. And then the last thing here is something which I think is incredibly petty and mean. Admiral Rachel Levine served as the Assistant Secretary of Health under Biden, and she was in charge of the Commission Corps of the US Public Health Service. She was the first transgender person to win Senate confirmation, and her portrait has been displayed in the Department of Health and Human Services building since 2021. So this week, the department has changed the name and her official portrait to her previous male name. So what is commonly called dead naming someone. There's no reason to do that, right? But they just did it to, I have to assume, to humiliate her.